Most of your life, from the time you try to learn to walk until the time you die, there's a fight that you need throughout.
I think to describe what Shoto Budo means to me personally would take longer than the time that this interview is going to take. Really all I would say is that over 30 years ago now, I joined a group of people who were interested in testing self-defense and martial arts skills and pushing the limits of these tests.
Shoto Budo incorporates self-defense as a principle with underlying health, well-being and supportedness within that to encourage all people to come in.
Shoto Budo is an inclusive martial art based on building self-confidence and self-defensive principles.
When I think of Shoto Budo, the things that come to mind are community and friendships and self-development.
Shoto Budo is quite helpful to obviously get you fitter, learn new things and find balance.
It's a modelled martial art. It's a martial art that looks at ways of teaching that allow people to develop better skills in shorter spaces of time, and the thinking that's gone into it has really pushed forward, and that in essence is Shoto Budo.
It took many years for me to come up with the name. It's broke into two. Shoto is the pen name of Funakoshi. Funakoshi taught my instructor, and my instructor taught me. Budo, in terms of the Western world, people have misunderstood a great deal of the translation, and quite often it's referred to as a martial art, when in actual fact it's a fighting way. But the fighting way is just as applicable to your children learning how to walk or study or any other variation of how to get the best out of your life. So fighting for me involves all of that.
It's much more than just the punching and kicking and the throwing. There's a whole load of personal development about learning to take care of your health, to be able to defend yourself effectively. So I think it's a wonderful organisation to be part of.
I call it the Shoto Budo family. Friends that you train with over the years, as well as that relationship I've got through starting when I was 4 and my dad getting into it, and now training with him, running a club with him.
When people mention karate, a lot of people think of something very traditional, they think of something very rigid. I don't think that's what Shoto Budo is at all.
There has to be interpretations, and traditionally you had one size fits all. When you look at it and you model it out, it doesn't work. You need the flexibility to move between sizes, shapes, speed and connections.
So we do striking, we do the groundwork, we do the grappling, we do all of these different aspects of fighting, but it's based in self-defense.
I've had lots of people come to train with us over the years that have been parts of different styles, and what they say when they come to us is what you're teaching is actually works. It feels more real life. You've still got that tradition and history, but I think they've just kind of brought it forward, so it's a more modern martial art.
The vast spread of people we've got in the organisation, it's very much somewhere that we can make what they perceive to be impossible, possible.
It's about bringing out the best in each other. That's what Shoto Budo is.
We don't do competitions, but that's not to say we don't compete, because every time we go in front of somebody who's of a similar grade, we up our game and we have a bit of fun.
I first got involved in Shoto Budo when I was 4. My dad dragged me along because I was scaling the walls in the house and I needed to burn some energy. Ever since then I've been non-stop.
It was a friend that said to me, come to a karate class with me, and I went my first night and never left.
I was training with another martial arts style. I was away from home, I came back home and I was looking to continue my martial arts, and I found Shoto Budo. Started at Pauline Walmsley's club and I just absolutely fell in love with the style and the people in it.
And the thing for me that made me stick to it was after a couple of years doing this style, I just felt safer. And from where I started to where I am now, it's a feeling of confidence in myself. If something were to go wrong in the world, I would be able to deal with it.
I've actually been coaching now since I was 16 years old, which makes 44 years of coaching, and it's a privilege, first of all, I have to say, that somebody brings their children or that they come themselves and look for your teaching. And when you get that right, and you see even from an early age, some of my children starting at 3 years old, and you see them develop phenomenal skills, that they're just having a fantastic experience. There actually probably isn't a feeling like that. Some of my own students who started when they're 4, 5, 6 years old are now in their 20s or 30s, and they've turned into incredible young men and women, wonderful people who train really hard with each other and test each other, but at the end of it there's a phenomenal friendship that's built.
I've seen many of my students grow and develop within practice within Shoto Budo, within the art. They've stayed connected with me and I've watched them continue to soar in whatever they're doing now. But the guys that have stayed with me from where they were, there's one in particular, Paul, started with me when he was 5 and he's now a 4th dan. Just seeing his movement, his understanding and his private skills and practice skills, they just seem to work hand in hand and it's fantastic to watch.
We are a supportive group. It's inclusive for all, regardless of whether you're neurodiverse or you've got an injury. There's ways to work around it. We always strive to bring the best out in each other.
It's important to be able to help and guide people into that inclusivity. At the end of the day, we're all just people, and what we're trying to do is encourage them to develop skills that will enable them in their practice and in their general life.
Anybody can come, anybody can try it. When I joined it, I had just recovered from major knee surgery and I was told at that time it's not about who's the best, it's about getting everybody to the best of their ability, and I like that part of it.
And you can join with any ability, any fitness. We've got people with different disabilities or injuries and they always come to train however they can.
We've had people we've graded in a chair, we've had people that have mobility issues.
We've always been made welcome, doesn't matter who they are, where they're from. This is how karate should be.
We've got people come in and they say they're out of breath going up a flight of stairs, and then you've seen them this weekend and they're absolutely flying around the hall, and it's just amazing.
The life experiences and the life understanding that I get from Shoto Budo and the practices within Shoto Budo is just immeasurable. It's about making sure that we embrace people and make sure people are the core behind deriving principles of self-defence, health and well-being, self-awareness, confidence.
For me, if I had to describe Shoto Budo in one word, it would be family, but there's also encouragement, challenge as well. There's too many words to describe it.
It's inclusive, continually developing, and yeah, it's addicting.
Shoto Budo is like a second family to me. I couldn't lose that connection. To have a goal, to have something to strive for, really kept me focused. When I was low, it certainly picked me up.
It just feels like a big family. People go to different clubs, we all meet up outside of the club and stuff like that.
You're in the middle of fighting somebody and your friend's coming at 100 miles an hour trying to attack you, but you're still laughing and smiling and trying to have that catch up when you do come to these kind of events.
I think people have different reasons for coming along and trying it out. The ones that stick around long enough will feel the benefit of that community, of these friendships, even international friends as well. I don't just go over to Finland and think, I just want to go train. No, I'm looking forward to seeing the friendships that I've made over there and just building them, training together, and as I said, sharing that passion.
Every year we come down to Largs. We've been coming here for many years. Spring school and autumn school are our 2 adult nationals, and we have a junior national in September. What we do at these events is it's our area of bringing the organisation together, testing our practitioners. It's the only place that we will grade black belts. It's essential for us to have these national events to continue to develop the organisation to move forward. It's not just about the physical practice, it's about the connections that we make. So the social side of it is equally as important as the physical practice side of it, and you develop friendships that last a lifetime. I have connected with people that I've known for 40 years who are in Finland, and they are very much a part of my family, and it's come from attending these national courses, so they're really fundamental to what Shoto Budo is about and how we grow and develop on the floor and off the floor.
It's been run slightly different this weekend. I think it's been really good. It's showed me subtleties, which I think is different, our style from other styles.
I try and get to every national course at Largs. The one this weekend, for our group, there's been lots of talk and practice around the subtle movements and how to get massive effects with not much movement. It's exactly what I needed this weekend. It's been absolutely fantastic.
This weekend's been great. I got exactly what I was looking for. Just watching Graham, his experience, and trying to pick up on it.
This is my first time back at Largs training with the adults in maybe about 20 years. The practices have been even focused, they're more intense or as intense as I remember them, but lots of learning and lots packed in.
For me, this weekend was extremely important because I'm coming back from a severe ankle injury at the last course. So for me to come and practice all weekend has been a big achievement. I never dreamed that I would have been back here this year, let alone within 6 months. It's been so full of information. For me in particular, the chair practice helped because even when I had my cast on, I was still going to class and Billy was teaching me from the chair. So to bring the chair practice for other people to experience it, it's been wonderful.
I always loved the dynamic stuff.
My favourite is the groundwork. I love getting close, feeling all the different body movements and trying to manipulate other people's body and where I want them to go. This weekend's actually interesting because me and James have spoke about this a lot over the weekend, and we both noticed after doing it for so many years that when we broke down the practice and tried to take it back to basics, we both quite struggled a wee bit, and then as it sped up when it should be more difficult, our instincts kind of kicked in from all the years of training, and it was actually nice being able to watch and train with other people and actually seeing all these skills just naturally come out.
This weekend has really pushed us, and I think that's what's good about Shoto Budo is it's not just about fighting somebody, it's about how you're keeping fit and healthy, about your mindset towards your health, towards keeping yourself safe, and yeah, towards life, I guess.
This weekend has been very exhaustive. I've been in the high dynamic group and doing lots of the stuff we were doing on Friday and Saturday morning in this heat was kind of the fitness kick you need every now and again. I do come to lots and lots of these courses, but this one has been particularly draining, shall we say.
It's brilliant to be back, and I think because I'd had such a big gap, many of these faces that are new to me, most of the people in the hall, I didn't know their names before. I think everyone makes an effort of including and being very welcoming, and I'm already looking at the course calendar to see when there are other dates and events kind of coming up to see what I can join back in with.
It's never too late to come back, and I always say to people that I've seen that I trained with years ago, when are you coming back? Oh, it's been too long. No, it's not. All you've got to do is put on your gi and come to class and you'll be welcome back.
We never know everything. We're always learning. We're always going back to basic katas. And it's maybe the way Billy's taught us over the years to always look for more, to always refine it. How else can you use it? Because let's be honest, there's only so many kicks, punches and grabs you can do, but it's how many ways you can do them that makes a difference.
I've always felt when I came back to Shoto Budo watching Richard and Pauline, who I train with almost every week, have been a great inspiration. I just want to try and achieve what they've achieved, if that's at all possible. But they do take a holistic approach and they try and make us the best person we could be, not just in martial arts, but the best person. So what motivates me to keep coming along? Self-improvement, physical improvement, and just trying to emulate my instructors and just hope it just continues.
So I've been doing Shoto Budo for about 21 years. I guess in my day-to-day life, apart from the physical things, the way you're kind of paying attention walking down the street, it just helps me deal with people, talking to people, managing people. The experience coaching in Shoto Budo has so many transferable skills, and the DBM aspects of it translate into all sorts of areas of work as well.
The mindset training that we do helps, falling into those flow states and accessing sort of altered ways of thinking.
Of course it's brilliant to see youngsters taking on information, using that information and developing. Behind all of our teaching is about a learning process. So as a consequence, even myself, Pauline and others, we even went back as adults to university for extra learning. We were getting development in the practice, and we wanted that to continue throughout our life. Many of the children that's come through my clubs and the other clubs have gone on to university or started businesses to build the confidence and the belief in themselves.
Through my own club, I'm now in third generation, as is Billy. I have 7 of my grandchildren in my club, but I see that repeated and reflected throughout the organisation, that people come back, they touch in, they touch out, but return to the fold or the family of Shoto Budo quite often. Part of the challenge is sometimes you're learning a martial art, you're learning that physical technique, but once you overcome some hurdles, it increases your confidence and encourages you to try out other areas in your life. And we look back at some of the developments out with a lot of people in musical or artistic talents develop. Some of the young people we see are here this weekend, they tend to push themselves not only to succeed but to excel in their chosen activity over and above martial arts. It's a lifelong learning development, not just in technical skills but everything else in your life.
been involved in martial arts for 50 years or so, but I've also been involved in developmental behavioural modelling for around 40 years. And the developmental aspect of it that I've learned over the years has been special and something that I try and include in every training session and practice that I ever do. One of the things that I got from developmental behavioural modelling and karate is it needs a purpose. And of course, purpose can't always be trying to stop somebody punching in the face. The purpose has to be deeper than that. But without a purpose, you don't have a how to develop, and you don't have a what is it we should be developing. I used to teach and train without explaining that until Richard came to Finland with me one time and forced me to explain what it was I was doing. And of course, I was modelling everything that I was seeing and responding to what I thought people needed. And as soon as I had stopped, he was in my ear saying, "What was that?" and forcing me to use the words.
This weekend is kind of a special weekend because we have the Shihan group. The Shihan are the teachers of teachers, really. There's 3 of us in this organisation, and especially in the last 32 years, we've worked very, very closely with Billy. The input that he gave to the organisation made us, and has done repeatedly for so many years now, made us think that it was time at this stage in his life, because he's coming up on 75 years old, at this stage in his life to, with the deepest of respect, confer upon him a Japanese title of Hanshi. Hanshi is really someone who exemplifies the model of how you should behave and teach in terms of the way of the warrior, or Budo as we refer to it. This weekend is full of gravity in terms of that. He doesn't know about it, so it's also full of a little bit of cloak and dagger mystery that's going on.
As always, when Billy's at an event, it's a fountain of knowledge that just never stops. Anytime you think you've got everything, there's always something extra that gets added on, and it is constantly building that model up.
Allowing us to kind of, I suppose, spread that knowledge a bit more, you know?
It's good to listen to what he's saying so that I can move forward with my training and just get better.
He still has a phenomenal way of merging models together, very, very intelligent way of training, and I love that.
The atmosphere at this event is slightly different because of the award that Billy's going to be receiving. It's a special thing and I didn't want to miss it. It's got quite a weight to it. He's dedicated his life to it.
We're just going to start off saying a few words. We were really keen to have a bit of a party tonight. The fact that it's coming up for our technical director's 75th birthday next month, we just thought the time felt right just to kind of thank Billy for how he's led and developed this organisation.
Billy's impact on me started way before I realised. I have memories of him starting when I was 4 years old and being at these junior events. As I started going into the adult ranks, the bits of advice he would give me, and maybe I wasn't ready to receive that advice, he would always come back to it and things would click for me. He just puts his time in and he's committed to bringing the best out in people.
Billy's a life coach for me, and this weekend, like every Shoto Budo course, every Shoto Budo practice, he's just full of gems in there, and he just directs you, it just makes a difference.
I suddenly realised the other week there, it's also coming up for the 50th anniversary of when I started training at the Lock College, so that's a big achievement that we're still in the same room. And I mean that in a really positive way, because those of us that know each other know we're both quite strong-willed people, but we have an absolute love and healthy respect for each other. The challenges that we've set each other over the years, I think, has pushed part of the growth, certainly me as a person and part of the organisation. If it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't have achieved not only in martial arts but in other areas of my life. So I just want to take this occasion to thank Billy for everything he's done.
I first met Billy when I was a teenager. Ever since, it's been an inspiration. He's one of the best kata groups I've ever seen was when I was a brown belt, and Billy was a 5th dan, which was the highest rank then, and Billy took part in this demonstration. I thought it was absolutely amazing. That was what I was aspiring to, and I feel Billy leading this organisation has made all the difference. The fact that Billy's still coming along is absolutely fantastic. It wouldn't be the same if Billy wasn't here, so I'm hoping he continues just to keep coming along, keep putting his karate suit on and taking part as much as he can.
I've known Billy since 1979, so I've had a long connection with Billy, but his guidance, his thought processes have influenced my practice for a long time. We want to acknowledge in this weekend how he has influenced us and what he means to us. Unfortunately, I know he's got photographic evidence of me when I was 15 starting karate in 1979, which is a long time ago, and without Billy's technical direction, I wouldn't be where I am today. Without his nipping my ear, hitting every now and again when I wasn't looking, and when I was looking, I wouldn't be where I am today with the skills I've got. And it's all down to my perseverance in annoying him, but his perseverance in sticking with it and showing me the things I needed to do. And lots of times throughout my life, he's been there and been that guiding light and guiding support for all of us, but in particular for me. I know on a couple of occasions, he probably never knew, but at certain times, it actually saved my life, and that's down to him.
Some of the stuff that I'd practiced, I always looked at it and I thought, nah, that wouldn't work, nah, that wouldn't work. And then came this man who had gone through a process of neuro-linguistic programming training, and he started to do tests and he started to change the way that things were done. And I was immediately attracted to that because there was a practicality to it, there was a realness to it, and it really made much more sense to me as a young person coming up. But I never agreed with it, a lot of it, and I constantly challenged him on it. And it was years down the line that somebody said from his own club, you were an absolute pain in the arse and we don't understand how he ever put up with you. So I asked him many years later, why did you put up with me asking questions? And he said, because you really were interested in learning what I was trying to teach at the time. And I was, actually, because he was teaching something that really made me think, I want to be a part of that. And I became an incredibly close friend with him, still am to this day, an incredibly close friend. We've travelled places together, we've had phenomenal conversations that have made my head ache. Especially in his younger years, the amount of information that Billy could fit into a 12-hour flight was staggering, and I would come off that flight and I would actually have a headache. Billy's been a proper friend of mine for well in excess of 30 years now. I've relished the challenges when we've sat doing projects together. I've enjoyed all of the conversations. There's a lot of people have gathered here today for quite a special occasion. So I'm going to read something out to you. It is with the profoundest respect for a lifetime of commitment to Shoto Budo, which has exemplified the pursuit of technical excellence, moral character, and the desires to see development in others through martial arts, that the Shihan of Shoto Budo award the rare and prestigious Japanese title of Hanshi to their friend, Technical Director, 5th Legion, 10th Dan William Haggerty, known to us all as Billy. We have selected the title Hanshi in further respect of Billy's direct teaching lineage through Mitsuzuki Harada Sensei to Gishin Funakoshi, all of whom dedicated a lifetime to deliver their holistic teaching of Budo to a wider audience. The title Hanshi being a combination of two terms, Han, which refers to Billy's personal example as an inspirational model, as well as a developmental behavioural modeler of our martial art, who has not only contributed to the world of martial art for decades, but also designed and modelled his own system in Shoto Budo, and Shi, which refers to his standing both as a sincere scholar and the highest level of embodying Budo, the way of the warrior. We, alongside many of his peers and students, respectfully recognise his mastery, his lifelong innovativeness, his unwavering commitment and his relentless search for better as the keystones of this Grand Master Award. It is presented with gravity, honesty, sincerity and integrity by the below-signed Shihan, whose combined experience exceeds 100 years of martial arts study themselves. This is to certify that the Shihan group of the Shoto Budo organisation hereby award William Haggerty, 5th Meijin 10th Dan, the honorary title of Hanshi in recognition of his lifelong commitment and continuing pursuit of developmental behavioural modelling at the highest level of Shoto Budo. Billy, please. Hanshi.
car. Not something that I expected or even wanted or dreamt about. Possibly because I don't think I'm finished. I'm not convinced I deserve this yet. The only thing I can say is, I'll try.
The future of Shoto Budo is a really interesting thing, because if you look at what Billy taught and what the other senior Shihan taught and follow only what they taught, then you're not really developing the organisation. In our essential text we talk about the nucleus versus the concept. Now you can go too far away from the concept of Shoto Budo and then it becomes something different, but if you follow the key principles of Shoto Budo, and we have models which we have developed which look at recursive learning, a spiral model of development which looks at all of the skills and how you interface with these skills at various different practices. There are some people who are coming up through the ranks who are of the next generation that are beginning to get interested and excited about how did we put these practices together, where did they come from, were they just like out of our imagination, or was there a theme, a purpose, a setup behind them? And actually all of these practices were thought through. Good modelling is about dealing with the people who are actually coming in as a coach. I don't know who's going to turn up in the dojo one night or whether or not they've injured themselves and still want to do a bit of training, so I always have to work off of people. Billy is no different, and some of the young generation that are coming up are beginning to show that. I see people, particularly in our organisation just now, sitting at 4th Dan level who have got youth on their side still. They're really interested, they've got their own way of doing things and they're given the space to do it. There's pockets of these things going on right around the country, and then there are gatherings where people begin to share ideas. I think that's a very healthy thing moving forward. Although I still feel as if I've got a lot to give, it's the right thing to step back and allow these young people to actually come in and share things. I think they will probably take the concept of Shoto Budo rather than the nucleus skills and push it further in the future.
I always try and encourage people to come to these events in the club. We've got 2 juniors that train with the adults that they're here for their first time, and when you go back to the club, you've got these ideas from this event that you can then share with people, and then they start to see that there's actually a bigger organisation, a bigger community to connect with people and to train with people. I always just try and come back enthusiastic and bring people along, whether it's to national events here or it's to international events in Finland. And if they're interested in learning self-defence, developing their fitness, I would encourage them to come along and give it a shot.
I see the future of Shoto Budo with encouraging the young coaches to come through and do what we've done, which is engage with the people that we're practicing with, help people get better and stronger. And as we push these guys to want to do more, I see them taking over from us. So when we're no longer here, it continues to move forward on a strong and sound footing, using our modelling knowledge, our skills that we've learnt across generations.
Now that I'm a coach, I think about the people that I had as a coach and the benefit that I got from them. That excitement, looking forward to coming to the club, looking forward to coming to these events. That's something that I want to instill on them.
When one of your students teaches you something and enriches your life as an older person and reminds you of something that is very, very valuable, that's inspirational. When you see a young person at 4 years old transition to a 6-year-old who can comfortably and confidently defend themselves against another 6-year-old without necessarily showing any forms of aggression, that's inspirational. When you see that person become a 25-year-old woman or a 25-year-old man, that's inspirational. When you see an organisation that includes people regardless of their age, their physical ability, and very recently this whole gender issue that's going on, and just looks at people regardless of how they identify, that's inspirational.
Since I started training, the world has changed so many different ways. I don't know who's going to be the leader. Some of the people who developed and became leaders weren't obvious, but they grew through and they really shine. What I hope is that the younger people can see some of the values that we're talking about here and continue it.
To take that up, myself, Richard and Graham, Billy has tasked us with a mantle. A couple of years ago, I awarded us the title of Shihan, which is Teacher of Teachers, and it's something we take pretty seriously. We do joke about it from time to time. I think all 3 of us would agree that we see ourselves more as the gatekeepers at the moment of Shoto Budo, as it's been passed to us, as Billy was passed to from Harada Sensei and from Harada Sensei back to Funakoshi. We're hoping at some point we'll be passing that mantle on to other people to continue to develop Shoto Budo and go by the principles of the founders. That's our wish for the future.
We've got a good direction.
We've got a good director.